In so many ways, when you're growing up as an immigrant, there wasn't this question of what was your childhood like. Your childhood was not a legitimate childhood. To come to know my past was really possible through my artwork. The way I make my sculpture inevitably is very direct about how I embrace dislocation of objects to geography as an essential way of understanding how people are free to move about. Travel, as difficult as it can be now and will always be to the body, is a kind of uprootedness that is true about the world that might lead to some knowledge, real power, not the facade of. Much of what I've selected is literally a body in parts. The museum or the studio or one's home has that kind of agency that's always lingering and is possible and hopeful. In some ways, my generation created that possibility. If you came into school as I did, you had to break down these boundaries that were essentially fabricated and policed. You realize that you can redesign it, redraw it. The selection of works that I saw in the Rockefeller collection was quite vast. I gravitate, I find, to things that we don't see often and to places I have not been to. Because much of my identity is invested in Queens, New York, I was finding myself interested in Korea and Vietnamese people and the Philippines, Cambodia, the restaurants I experienced and the groceries that my mother bought, and where she bought her fabrics at a time when there was not an Indian market. So we had to take from different cultures to reinvent or reconsider how do we display an authentic Indianness. The idea of plucking and taking out of another place, and then people who are plucked out of places like myself as reluctant travelers. I think there's so much to unpack. This trade, this colonial commerce, this kind of domesticating geographies inevitably into a very violent relationship of power becomes a very important axis by which all these things can be understood as dislocated. There's a certain level of destruction and kind of resistance to our own mortality that is displayed when we want to preserve things to look always new. And the juxtaposition of the porcelain and the ceramic that seem to have no porosity, the surfaces that resist aging, a bowl which seems ordinary in many ways, become part of a dialogue of what human beings have created. The language of making art is very porous, and people understand that and feel it. They have instincts.